Hey guys, Dave here. I want to show you a very simple EQ tip for working with vocals. That's coming up on Home Music Studio One. Hey there, Dave Maxey from HomeMusicStudio1.com. Welcome to the show. This is the place where you can learn to produce professional quality home music studio recordings, and you can do that even on a limited budget. Well, today I want to give you a very simple EQ tip for working with vocals. This is something that if you have just begun to use EQ and you're a little bit confused about how to get results, this tip will work for you. This is also something if maybe you've been using EQ for a while, you're working on a project and you just can't seem to get the EQ in regards to your vocals, you just can't seem to get the results that you're after. So this will also work for you. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So we're going to take a look here at a project that I've got open in Reaper. This is will obviously work in any DAW. Okay, this is not about the software at all. And so this project that I have is from the band Chapter X, and the song is called Isle of Me. So if you're interested, you like their style, do a little bit of searching actually on Facebook, and I think you'll be able to find their Facebook page and get some information on them. This project is by no means a completed project, but I'm just using this to demonstrate what we've got going on here. I'm going to let you hear just a piece of this lead vocal in the context of the mix.
My little island has run aground on you shore.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and solo out the vocal track. I'm going to right click on here and open up the EQ that I've got enabled on this track. There's a few more things that obviously if I were building this mix out, I would definitely do to this vocal track, but let's focus on EQ specifically. I'll do a little bit of A-B for you so you can hear the difference of what I've done with this EQ. And then I'm going to show you a very simple way that you can use to determine how you need to EQ your own lead vocal tracks or any vocal track for that matter.
My little island has run aground on you shores. This is my...
Okay. So here's the concept. Let me just give it to you, and then we'll kind of break this down. Remember this model, which is something that I typically always go by when I first start to EQ a track. It's roll out the lows, cut the mids, push the power, and add some sparkle. Let me say it again. Roll out the lows, cut the mids, push the power, and add some sparkle. Now, this is by no means the only way that we can EQ a vocal track of any kind. And obviously there's definitely some diversity from style, from the actual artist that you're tracking. And so, there's a lot of different variables in here, but this is something that you can start to learn how to use EQ and get great results from, and then build upon there. If you'll notice, roll the lows, cut the mids, push the power, and add some sparkle really deals with 4 predominant bands when it comes to EQ. You're going to find as you begin to get used to these 4 areas that I'm going to share with you, you'll realize that if within each of those areas, there's actually some additional breakup of bands that you can begin to kind of tailor even more. And essentially, you're getting the same results, but you'll just find that you can get even more specific. But start here, especially if you're wrestling with getting good results from EQ. So I'm going to go ahead and just zero out this EQ to the defaults, okay? And what do I mean, first of all, by roll the lows? In the vast majority of all the lead vocal or vocal tracks that I work with, there's not a need for a whole lot of ultra bottom end. That could be anywhere from 60 hertz on up to as high as even 150, even as high as 200 hertz, depending on the vocal track. In most cases, you're going to land somewhere in between there. So the very first thing I'll do is simply on a vocal track is I'll just use this high pass filter. All this is doing is allowing the high frequencies to pass through, and it's filtering out everything at the lows. In the case of this rock vocal, I would probably start somewhere around 100 hertz and listen to this in the context of the mix. I might even be able to push that up to 120, 150 in this case. But for your own lead vocal track, rolling out the lows is the first thing you're going to want to do. Just roll out the lows and kind of push that up to where your track begins to get thinner, and then back it down a little bit. So if we solo this out, I'll show you what I mean.
Aground on you shores. This is my time to shine. Nothing.
Okay. this represents the area where you can actually begin to feel the vocals. So you don't want to go too high on that, but if you're talking about rolling the lows in this case, I'm just going to push that up to where I can still have a decent warmth in that vocal track again, somewhere around 100 in my case. Let's listen.
The ground on you shores.
Okay. Now, if a track was recorded well, you're probably not going to have a lot of lows in there. And that is the same as how this track was tracked. There's not a lot of ultra lows in there. But this definitely just helps to kind of clean that bottom up of any of that low rumble that's not needed. Secondly, cut the mud. Cut the mud. Now, this is going to be in those frequency bands anywhere from, say, 250 on up to even 500 hertz in that range there. We're talking about the area of the vocal that really kind of creates a muddy sound that a lot of our instrumentation is going to be represented in that middle ground, that lower mid, okay? And because of that, because we've got guitars, keyboards, snare drum, right around 200 is kind of the real meat and power of a lot of snare drums. We've got a lot of things that can easily cover up and build up in that area, so you want to be careful about how much mids you put in that range. And cutting, I find a little bit of this mid-range will really help to kind of clear out and cut the mud in this vocal track. So let's listen. And all I'm going to do is start right around this 250. And you can do this any number of ways, but I find it's really simple. Start around 250. Give yourself about 3-4 dB of cut and just sweep around until you hear the mud begin to kind of disappear and clean up in the track. And then you can decide, do you need to cut less or more? Kind of exaggerate it a little bit to begin to use it. So let's listen.
Beyond the wastes, my little island has run aground on you shores. This is my time to shine. Nothing will get in my way again.
Okay, that's not bad right in that range. Again, you got to obviously play with this a little bit longer in your own tracks. The third thing that we need to do in this case is push the power. This is the range where somewhere typically from about 1.5, 1K on up to even 3, 6K. This is the range where most vocals, male or female, sometimes female vocals can be a little bit higher than that. This is the range of power where if you just push a few dB, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on your track and your vocal mics, if you push a little bit in this range, it's really going to give that vocal a lot more power and help it to push out of a mix, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start really right around that 1K area, and I'm actually going to push this right about 3 or 4 dB, and I'm just going to sweep in that area until I hear that vocal just really seem to kind of grab that power area and really get a little bit stronger and a lot clearer. So let's kind of sweep through and find out what we've got.
Beyond the wastes, my little island has run aground on you shores. This is my time to shine. Nothing will get in my way again.
Okay, so in this case, that's given us just that little bit of power zone. It really helps kind of push that vocal up out of our mix. And then the last thing that we need to do is to add some sparkle. Now, when we're dealing with 4 bands, a lot of these bands are going to kind of work hand in hand with one another. Again, as I mentioned, this is a great place to get started with EQ. So in this case, I'm just going to use a high shelf for this last band to add some sparkle. And a shelf is just simply going to give us a boost from a particular point on up according to our bandwidth. We can kind of slope that way. And so if I boost this up in this range, I'm going to kind of go somewhere around, in this case, usually about that 10K to 12K and higher is really where that sparkle is. This is the range that just gives us kind of that expensive sound, a little bit of clarity sound on that ultra top end of the track. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start right around that 10K, and I'm just going to go ahead and push lots of dB up there. I can actually adjust my bandwidth to make that nice and smooth if I want. And then let's just see how this is affecting our vocal track.
Beyond the wastes, my little island has run aground on you shores. This is my time to
There you go. Now let's go ahead and listen to this in the context of our mix again.
eruption. Beyond the wastes, my little
Obviously, we've got a lot more processing in order to get this vocal, some de-essing and some things if we really clean things up. But this is the general concept, guys, that can really get you started with getting a real nice EQ tip. I think working with vocals, this is real simple. You can implement it right now, get results really quick. Again, roll the lows, cut the mids, push the power, and add some sparkle. Well, that's it for this episode. If you guys got more questions, definitely let me know. Make sure if you're watching this in YouTube to go ahead and click like and subscribe. And if you want more information about how to really process vocals and really get started making the best possible vocal tracks you can, I've actually got a free ebook that I put together entitled The 5 Pillars of Recording Studio Quality Lead Vocals, or recording studio quality vocal tracks. I'd love to get that to you absolutely free. Just go ahead and click on the link in the bottom of this video. Drop your email address in there. I'll get that ebook out to you right away. That'll also sign you up for my free Affordable Home Recording Tips newsletter, and you get lots more helpful stuff exactly like this. So until next time, guys, this is Dave with HomeMusicStudio1.com.